Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Robb Ellis. I want to give you an update on what to expect for the rest of the day. It's already been a very busy, very windy day. And overnight tonight, we're going to have a chance for some strong storms to roll through here, including the possibility of tornadoes. Couldn't rule that out. Here's the overall threat that I want you to be aware of. This is issued from the Storm Prediction Center. We've been showing you this for the last few days. Level 3 on a scale of 1 to 5. Now, just a few days ago, believe it was Tuesday, we had a level 4 in the northern part of the state, and that's where we had that deadly tornado that rolled through Kankakee into Lake Village and across the northern part of the state. This is a step down from that, but we still think that we're going to have some big concerns when it comes to severe weather later this evening and into the overnight. Here's what we're mainly concerned about. The big concern is going to be damaging winds, but there is a tornado threat. In fact, a couple of things to notice here in this graphic. One, we're seeing this higher threat to our south and west, but also notice these hash marks that are on the screen here. This hatched area is where we could see the intensity of any tornadoes that do develop on the higher side. So perhaps as high as EF2 within that area. It essentially includes all of Indiana. Of course, the higher threat, or the higher probability, I should say, is farther to the south and west, but does include a good portion of Indiana. We do think we will likely see some tornado warnings across part of the state for this evening once the line comes through, and I've got to look at the timing for you here coming up. The big concern is going to be damaging wind. Now, the probabilities are certainly much higher, especially to the south and west, but I just think that once this line rolls through, we're going to be dealing with gusty winds along the line in addition to out ahead of the line, and I'll show you some of the numbers here in just a moment. Again, there's a hatched area, meaning some of the wind gusts could be over 70 to perhaps as high as 80 miles per hour, but we think 70 is probably about the threshold that we'll see for most of the severe thunderstorm warnings that are going to be likely through this evening. Hail not as big of a concern. There is a threat mainly to our west. That was not the case on Tuesday or Wednesday, whichever day it was, that we had the severe storms that rolled through the northern part of the state. Some huge hail, in fact, setting records for the state of Illinois with hailstones that happened there. This is the box that we're watching to the south and west. This is the line. At some point, this line is going to race across the entire state, and as it does so, that's going to likely trigger severe thunderstorm warnings, and we may have some tornado warnings embedded within that. Right now, we are still starting to see just a few warnings pop off. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. This one, just I can tell by the way it looks here, this is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible wording. We're starting to see a little bit of spin in the atmosphere and starting to see more and more of these that are going to be issued. We will likely see that happen through the evening tonight. We're going to have a suite of severe thunderstorm warnings that roll through. Currently, there is nothing in the state. We don't have any rain in the state. Most things are quiet with the exception of the gusty winds. Speaking of the gusty winds, let's talk about what watches and warnings are in place right now. We have a high wind warning that's in place. That's going to go until Sunday at 10 p.m. Although farther to the east you go, that number is just a little bit longer. This high wind warning will go in place until 8 a.m. Farther to the north for some of our northern counties, this is going to be a wind advisory. That too will go until midnight tonight. And then just notice off your screen, I want to point this out. There is a tornado watch that's in place until 8 p.m. for areas of Illinois. As that line gets closer, there's a good chance that most of the area will go under either a severe thunderstorm warning or what I think is going to be more likely a tornado warning as that line gets a little bit closer and moves through. Let's just talk about the winds out ahead of the system. It's already been a very windy day. We've got wind gusts as high as 55 miles per hour within the last hour at the airport, but you see plenty of numbers that are up around 50 miles per hour. There's a 52 mile per hour wind gust over into Crawfordsville. We do expect those wind gusts will continue to be problematic through the rest of the evening, especially in the line. This is just like what we saw maybe on Friday, where we had some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. There weren't any thunderstorms. That's what we're dealing with in the short term. Right now, we've got some wind gusts as high as 55. There's a 56 mile per hour wind gust there for Bloomington. We see that Crawfordsville wind gust at 54. I think these will likely hold in the 40 to 50 mile per hour range, maybe as high as 60 miles per hour until that line moves through. And then once that line moves through, those wind gusts will get even stronger. We could even have some 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts once the line moves through. A couple of areas that we're tracking here. Let's start with downtown just to show you that there's a little bit of shake to the camera here because we are still seeing some gusty winds. We have seen a couple of issues with traffic problems. There seems to be, this is going to be 465 just west of Emerson. I see a fire truck on the scene here. Looks like it's got the left two lanes blocked. Keep an eye on that. We're also watching some of the other traffic cameras just to keep an eye on things. Overall, not so bad because it is a weekend, but the shake to the camera, the high-profile vehicles are going to feel that as well with the strong winds. And we have seen some areas into Shelby County where we've seen some power poles snap. So it's going to be a windy day. We're seeing it from all of our cameras, including down in Bloomington where we have seen some pretty gusty winds. The trees there, a little bit of a shake. The good news is that this time of year, the leaves aren't quite on the trees yet, as you can see from this picture. A good illustration of it. Why am I pointing that out? Well, because if there were leaves on the trees, they'd act a little bit more like a sail, and we could see even more trees uprooted. When they don't have as many leaves on them, the wind can pass through a little bit more easily. It may mitigate some of the concerns when it comes to wind damage. Let's talk temperatures because, boy, if you take the wind out of the equation and the chance for severe storms, look at the temperatures into the 70s for almost all of you. A couple of locations holding on to the 60s, but I think at some point you'll either touch 70 degrees or you'll get into the 70s through the next several hours. Just about everyone has. There may be a little bit of additional cloud cover here as some showers tried to roll into the state, but they essentially dried up before they moved in. Let's talk timing of this next line that I've been talking about that's going to move through. Now, the line itself will be back to the west. There may be some showers and storms out ahead of this. What I'm hoping is that we don't have any of these out ahead of this that are on the stronger side, because that would be the area of concern with the possibility of tornadoes. The line itself, which will likely move into the state sometime around 8 or 9 o'clock, is going to contain some gusty winds. We'll probably see a good portion of this line trigger a few severe thunderstorm warnings, or perhaps the whole line trigger severe thunderstorm warnings that just march across the state. Two things I'm going to be watching for tonight, along with meteorologist Sean Ash, is will we have any of these supercells out ahead of this? Seems less likely. Those are the ones that can cause the rotation, cause the stronger tornadoes that we're often concerned about. That, I think, is going to be less likely. What is more likely is that within this line, you get just a little kink in the line and it can create a little bit of a spin up, and you can get some tornadoes embedded, little spin ups embedded within the line. We think that's going to be more likely. Setting this into motion, you can see here's by 11 p.m. This model is a little bit slower than some of the other models, so maybe take this with a grain of salt. I think this could be as early as maybe 9:30 to 10:30 for the metro, and then continuing to push across the state and likely out of here by around midnight to say 1 a.m. But we're not done with the concern after that, because look, once this moves out, it will likely calm down when it comes to the rain or the heavy rain, but then it's going to turn to a chance for some light snow, and this could be kind of bursty snow as the temperatures drop down into the 30s or upper 20s, and we could have some problems with the morning commute, having to deal with some slippery conditions. So there's a wild ride that we're going to go on just over the next 12 hours or so. So for 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., that's the biggest concern for severe storms. A line of severe storms is going to roll through. We could have damaging winds and could not rule out a possibility of a tornado. And then multiple ways to receive alerts is what you need to have. The other thing is make sure your phone is sitting on the charger before this line gets here so it has a good bit of juice, so that if we do lose some power, you'll have that phone ready to go so you can continue to get updates, or watch us on WTHR Plus on your phone so we can alert you to what's going on. We'll keep an eye on this threat. We're going to be providing you updates throughout the evening. Also, we'll have a newscast at 6 p.m. pending how Goff pushes things up. Just watch for that on WTHR, but also right here on WTHR Plus. And then if we have any severe weather in the area, make sure you're tuned in here, because we're going to be streaming all night with any severe weather alerts. Stay safe out there. We'll keep an eye on this. We want you to be weather aware as well. And we'll see you later this evening.